Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I'm Cody. He is Andy. We are the Tech Talk trio with Paige running things from the background.
And Paige has a friend here too.
Yeah.
The dog, you can't see the dog sleeping behind her.
There's a couple of animals that join us for this show, which is a nice reprieve.
Yeah, I always love the cat that walks across every now and again. Or like sometimes my cat will show up like right there.
I'm waiting.
She's elusive. You know what she did? So this is what she did to me the other, like tonight, actually, no, like I guess early this morning, 2:00. She sits at the edge of the bed and like my toes under the covers will sometimes do this or that. And she'll nibble on them through the covers. She'll like take no, I'm not kidding. Like she'll like take like a little nibble.
I believe you.
Like go nibble on my wife's toes for once. Like why do you got to nibble on my toes all the time?
Okay.
So,
we're done with animal
we're done
nibbling
with
stories.
All right,
that was a first and a last.
I'll tell you what's not last though. It's not a first either, and hopefully it's not the last. We have 3 requests today?
We have 3 requests today. Yes, we do.
First one came from our good friend Chris. This actually came last week, but it was like we got it like right after we filmed last week's episode.
Yeah,
we want to make sure we get it to it this week.
Crude for Chris.
Crude for Chris. All right, here we go. So let's just go take a quick look at last week. This is Tuesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday. Let's keep going. Wednesday and Tuesday. That's when you want to look at it. So apologize, we weren't able to get to it for a week later, but we're still going to look at it. What's interesting about this one is that you obviously had, it's almost like reminiscent of the S&P when you look at it, right? I mean, you had this massive break starting to chop. Tough to say. I mean, I think like the first thing that I think of when I see this is, are we getting ready to see a bear flag?
So I was just going to ask you, it's kind of winding itself up here.
So if I use like these I don't want to see what the problem is that you have this big candle there. But even then, let's use that so we're going to be consistent with it. This type of activity, I think you can argue is more bearish than bullish, because you've had, this is 71 change, 71.25, promptly goes and touches $55, and we're barely over $60 at that point. So you've had this massive break, and to see this kind of steady or slight continuation upwards, I think that's just a prelude to us having another significant break. And so, where does that go? I mean, this would be the measurement, is to simply take that line and let's say we broke out here now. Wherever the breakout is, let's say it's right there. Where does that take us? Hold, please.
$52 a barrel.
Let's see how close you are. God, you were so close. Woo. Look how close you were. 51.78, 52. Gosh, you just and let's really dial it into. Let's see how
eyeballing.
I mean, you crushed that.
Killing.
You could not have gotten that any closer. I mean, come
so
on.
good about that.
Gosh, just done for the day. That's how I'm saying.
I agree. I mean, when I look at it in mind, the bulls, the best you can do is you get it up to 64 last week, probably around when Chris was emailing us, and that is it. I mean, the bulls have not been able to sustain hardly anything here.
Yeah, for sure. This is just such a big move. I mean, look at the not lack, but I mean, look at how, like the daily ranges leading up to that too. I mean, you can even kind of zoom out. Look at all these ranges leading up to that, and then you just have this abrupt, gigantic move that still is like we haven't managed to really retrace much of any of it. So yeah, I look at this and say, this type of like steady. This is here's 17 years worth of experience going like this. See this like steady little like triangle thing that we're making? That type of continuation upwards is after this big break. I think it's just a prelude to more weakness.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we saw this in corn a lot this year, where you have the initial break, you kind of hold yourself there for a week and a half, and then you continue the break lower, hard, and really fast.
Yeah. So I guess like, to say where is that wrong? The market did not like to try to be above this. So this high right here, not this one, but this one, right? Because once we try to get above that high, the market promptly went back into it. And that is typically called like a piercing line. So that right there, the fact that it didn't gap higher, like we usually look for like that, what's the next open, and then came back well within the range of the previous day, that's a sign of weakness. What you would have wanted to see is just like maybe like this candle above that or something like that.
So essentially what you're saying is, you're wrong. Like if you got short right here, you're wrong if we get a 60 3 settle.
I would even say 62.5.
Okay,
I mean, that high is 62 and change, right?
Oh,
And
you're
so I wouldn't want to be short past this candle's high. Let's get you an exact number for your trading account. There you go. 62.38 is the high from that day. You get a close over that. I wouldn't want to be short that contract anymore. But yeah, this looks like it's a continuation. And so a lot of times you see kind of like you have a big break or a rally for that matter, right? And then you get somewhat of a small kind of dribble back the other direction before continuing to move. I think that's what we're doing. All right, good request. Thank you. Keep them coming.
Thanks, Chris.
This is a good one. I mean, it's a big macroeconomic one, right? And so we certainly want to be like mindful of all the macroeconomic, especially with all the volatility we got going on.
True.
All right, next. Speaking of volatility, the cheese. Now we didn't move anything. We didn't touch anything since last time we talked about it. And this was the first thing that we talked about was touching this downward trend. Now today is what, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
All day today. And it's a short week, right? So Friday, yeah, we don't have school on Friday.
Banks are closed, market's closed.
Everything's closed. So we have tomorrow and Thursday session to complete this. So basically a settlement here or higher and breaks us out of this downtrend that we've been in since.
If I'm not mistaken, on the last episode when we talked about this, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe last week, you had said $1.90 was going to kind of be the magnetic spot here.
Well, I think what I said was that we need to get to this. We need to go test this area first, right? This downtrend. We've broken through it. I agree. I think the next, and what I think we actually said was we're going to get a bit of a setback and then go.
Yep.
Maybe. That still certainly could happen. We have to see how this week closes, right? Can we get this? Can we stick this close through this downtrend? If we can, then you know what starts to get really scary? Hang on, Cody's going to throw up a little bit.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this.
Look at that thing.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
You got a month and a half before the barrel goes away, and I'm
glad you brought that up. So yeah, the May contract will be the last futures contract that uses the barrel in its pricing. So going forward, I mean, we'll see how it's a fluid situation. We'll see.
It is.
We might still continue to use the barrel in our discussions. We'll certainly want to look more at the block. But yeah, I mean, even if you just look at the block for a sec, there's the block weekly. That's got the same. I mean,
look at that W just playing out right in front of us that nobody sees.
I mean, well, you see it.
I see it.
Nobody's seen.
I'm calling it right now. 225 block.
225 block. Cody's calling it. Hang on. There's that. Cody's calling it. On what day is today? So today is the 15th.
Tax day.
It's tax day.
New taxes, boys and girls.
Tax day. Bam. All right. Cody's calling it on tax day. We're basically going to a 223.75, 225 block is what he's saying.
The only thing guaranteed in life is taxes and 220 blocks. Write it down.
Boy, I feel like you may have just shot yourself in the foot. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, we were just looking at the weekly for the average. But, you know, this is, at the very least, this is certainly acting like it wants to complete this W. And that takes you back to where it basically just takes you where the barrel is. 190, right? And, you know, I know you're eyeballing this guy. You may or may not have missed this one.
I saw.
Okay, you saw it.
I saw.
So this one can turn into a magnet, especially with the way the barrel is. Look out. And yeah, I mean, you've got so much going for it, right? I mean, you have, it looks like it's making a V bottom. You know, you had all this kind of noise right here, nice little rounding, big session last week, followed up with a gap higher to open the week.
Yep.
So it's certainly acting like it wants to go test this gap. What's interesting is the futures continue to kind of, I don't want to say like not believe it.
They're lagging.
They're lagging, right? I mean, they're so like, you know, there's no premium built in, but we also, in all fairness, when we were trading up around here earlier this year, there was very little, if there was more of a discount built in at that price point than there was in the futures. So, but Cody's calling it 225 cheese. I think this gap is like, I'm more, I don't know if I'm with you there just yet, but I think you and I, well, obviously you agree that this gap's going to go get filled.
Yes.
I think so too. I think we're going to go trade a 190 product and, you know, we're there in the barrel. Let's go back real fast to see what that'll look like on this bad boy before we adjourn. And it basically takes you right back to former highs of the year.
Mm-hmm. Back to 190.
Big price, right? I mean, this was a price point on average that we could not sustain. Not even for one week's close.
We could do that in the next 2 days, right? We're 5 cents away. We did it today.
I
Close.
mean, why not?
Why not?
Why not? All right.
And then keep going.
This will get dicey. So next one,
Let's do dollar.
we're doing a dollar. Cody's
roll the dollar.
he's got dollar signs in his eyes when he looks at 225 cheese.
This came from Erica.
This came from Erica.
Oh man, is that a bear flag? Is that 2 bear flags in one episode?
It very well could be. I mean,
oh boy.
So it's so interesting because this one, we talk about the ability for the market to go to 225 cheese. And, obviously exports are such a huge piece of our ability to really run higher. Yeah. And as the dollar just continues to get pummeled, the prospect of that just gets better and better, doesn't it?
It does.
Am I thinking about that right? Like the ipso facto,
Brian Rice taught us. As
I think
the dollar goes down, exports are able, doesn't mean they have to, able to go higher. I know he taught you that. He taught me that like my second week working for him.
Got it. So it's like a little dollar dance. You got there you go. Shout out Brian Rice. I mean, it's very similar to what we looked at earlier, right? Where you have big down day, big series of down days, right? I guess the only difference is that I think the biggest warning sign would be in the next, call it, this is a daily, so next 2 sessions or so, I think it's going to be soon, is if we were to get a close over that high. And the fear of that would be, is it would actually, if we could just kind of go look at the block real fast, what we just looked at, like a failure, like a rounding. This is a little bit, this took a little bit longer, obviously being a weekly, but you see that from time to time. Let me go back to the EDX. So yeah, you get some sort of like a rounding. The first step of that would be, I think they call it a swing low. The first step would be you have to get back above a previous 2 to 3 sessions high. If you were to do that, I think this turns back into a quick trip to 104. Right back into all this. 103 half, 104. So it's kind of, like I said, it's this the next couple days here for the dollar will be really interesting. It'll be super interesting.
That RSI technically right now is in oversold territory, right?
But working its way out of it.
Sorry, I had my lines wrong. It's actually
no, you're right. It still is technically. It still is.
Still is.
You can zoom in on this bad boy. I think, yeah, it still technically is oversold. So it could putter around oversold for a while, but it is it's starting to turn a little bit, and so is the momentum. What's interesting about it too is that it has been negative for so long. I mean, look at how far back that goes. That goes back to, what is that? The start of the year. Mm-hmm. It has had negative momentum. But what's interesting about this is that it's failing to put in a new low. Right there. So you've got some warning signs here for the dollar bears, right? Like you've got RSI that's oversold, starting to come back out of it. That's a warning sign. You got momentum that's failing to put in a new low. So, there she is.
I see.
I see her. There she is.
The episode with Giselle.
Yeah, so it's failing to put in a new low. You've got the RSI that's now oversold. It's starting to come back. Money flow, it's still kind of moving lower, but it's just like the momentum. I mean, it's just kind of getting this little rounder guy here. So, like I said, I think if you got to close over this high in the next 2 sessions, I think by the end of the week, basically, you got to get a close over this high. I think you jeopardize kind of ripping back. And I think the big tell would be, this is clearly trending lower. Let's say you did that and then close through that, it could just turn into
a real momentum swing.
It could be. And that could stifle, going back to your 225 comment. You rip this thing right back and you could start to kind of put a pause on exports, especially since, my gosh, the barrels went from 155 to 190, like that.
Yes.
Like you have a big adjustment in the dollar that could be,
yes.
Remember Rice's arrows?
Mm-hmm. The Brian Rice arrow.
It's this little dance that he does. It's like this, that. All right. So anyways, all right. Good ask. I think the next 2 days close, you have to be really mindful of. And if not, let's say it doesn't do that and it just kind of peters around, then that is likely a continuation lower.
Just a steady decline.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the next thing you'd want to look for is a close. But this is such a big session right here, the 11th. Like what's this low? 98.80. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Anyways, last one from Bobby Lee.
Last but not least.
Lumber.
Bobby's trying to build a house.
Bobby's trying to build a house. Good luck. Actually, lumber prices are coming off. They're expensive for a while.
Yeah.
I don't build anything. I don't.
Either. Just looking at the chart, they look expensive.
Huge gap.
Lumber
Look at this thing. I mean,
fell
look at the
apart.
size of this thing. My gosh.
Youch.
This is weak. You've got.
You
Yeah,
found a
I mean,
floor at 570. I guess that's the first thing you could say.
I mean, that's a good spot, right? I mean, like you get through that, and this looks like it wants to go do that because you had obviously a double. I think you could call this a triple top. Came down hard, gapped through it too. Tried to get anything going, and look what the sellers did the next day. I mean, just like the next day, just like
Yep.
no,
Hammered.
not today. Sorry, dude.
Mhm.
Not happening today. And then we just continue to dribble lower. And now, like, what is this? So, I mean, really, you got to look at the 598 number. You get to close through that, and it's just like, good night, nurse here. Because it's like, yikes, 550. This is a weekly. And this weekly, we always think about like the longer period the chart, the greater emphasis you want to put on it.
Yeah.
And so, this being a weekly, all you got to do is sit here for the rest of the week. And you've got to close below a trend that has been in place since mid-July of last year. That's weakness. So
That is
yeah,
weakness.
lumber. That's so interesting too, because like I had somebody talk about this the other day. They're looking at rebuilding all those houses in LA, right? And,
Yeah.
like how much more it could end up costing, and don't
With
even
the
bother
price.
trying. Right.
Yeah.
Not according to the futures market. I wonder if that's like a thing where it's like that's a super bullish piece of information for price, and the futures are just like, so we're going down.
Right.
I don't know. Lumber looks weak. I mean, I guess at the very least, if it's got to break 598. If it does, we just looked at 550. It's like the next kind of target area. If this thing starts to go back up, what I would be concerned about is filling this gap. Certainly if we got to close above this price, but even if like, let's say you rounded back out and started to put in a series of higher lows. I have to think about that when I say that. It's like the whole thing that we
Arrow
do.
one.
Yeah, higher lows. So you put in a series of higher lows here and fail to put in, and obviously concurrently fail to put in a new low. Then this gap becomes a big target. I don't know. I don't know anything. Like I said, I don't know anything about building houses.
A lot of volatility though.
So bad about that.
All we know about is charts.
I can make bread. I mean, I'm good at that. I don't eat a lot of bread anymore though. That's the thing. Like I just don't.
Andy Foreman CMT sourdough maker.
If you want me to make you, Jan in our office,
Dude,
that guy makes some bread.
Jan missed his calling of being a baker. I will be honest. That guy could bake anything.
The guy bakes.
It is so good.
And you're going to be in town soon. Maybe
I will.
give him a call.
Have to say hello.
Get a loaf.
Nice boy. All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Tech Talk, everyone. We appreciate you watching. Erica, Bobby Lee, and of course, Mr. Chris. Thank you so much for getting a hold of us for charts. If anyone else has any for next week, please let us know. We'd be happy to take a look at them. But until then, everyone have a great week, a great Easter. You have a great Easter.
You have a great Easter.
You and Paige.
You have a great Easter.
Easters with friends and family.
Are you dying eggs? Or what's the egg situation?
Well, I don't think so. I'll probably just hide in my house and not see anyone all day. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when the day comes.
You're not going to die. That doesn't preclude you from dying eggs, though. I mean,
I
even
guess
if you're going to hide in your house by yourself, you can still dye some eggs. Hard boil some eggs and dye them.
Hard boil, hide them in the trees. Find them next year.
There we go. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Yeah.